The government of Ivan Duque has not been able to stop the violence against different social factions in Colombia. During his mandate, many parts of the territory have been left in the hands of armed groups that manage to expand and worsen the conflicts, in detriment of the most vulnerable communities. Our correspondent Hernan Tobar gives us the details.
Guillermo, an indigenous and peasant leader, is tied by his ancestral customs to these lands he is far away from for more than 2 years. Continuous death threats, persecution and stigmatization has forced him to become a nomad. He says he left his Sierra Nevada in Santa Marta temporarily, but that he will go back soon.
I have to leave my land because all the death threats against my life, and due to the claims that we made on human rights violations, the persecution of social leaders, and because of all the demands we have made for land restitution and the opposition to large-scale mining in Cesar.
The Sierra Nevada is geographically shared by 3 departments. One of them is Cesar. According to the We Are Defenders NGO, in the first quarter of 2022, 3 human rights defenders have been assassinated, making it one of the more risky departments for such leaders.
There are several elements that make it risky for us to remain here, like illegal armed groups that we believe are the successor of paramilitary gangs. We also suffer persecution from institutions, military intelligence, and political clans in power, to whom we have been denouncing acts of corruption, and the complicity of paramilitary groups in a violent retaking of territories.
Complicidad con esos grupos paramilitares que están ejerciendo una retoma violenta del territorio.
Guillermo represents one of those lives of struggle and resistance that have not yet been silenced. However, others are no longer among their communities. They made them disappear during the 4th year of President Duque. According to the Institute of Studies for Development and Peace in the past, more than 900 leaders have been assassinated.
There is a dispute over ethnic territories. 50% of Colombian territory is collectively owned by ethnic groups and overlaps with forest reserves area, like the Amazon, the Pacific, and the high parts of the Andean mountain ranges, where the biggest disputes occur, and of course around land interests where there are macro projects, either water or infrastructure.
In the 4 years of Ivan Duque's term in office, the presence of armed actors has increased in several departments, either by violent action or by complicity with members of the military forces. 420 municipalities in the country are influenced by armed groups, which represents 37% of the territory, a situation that generates disputes for control of the territory due to illegal income, drug trafficking, and both legal and illegal mining, a situation that affects vulnerable populations.
As the first perpetrator identified as victimizing social leader is the govt clan, followed by the so-called dissidents of the FARC and the ELN. In some cases, we have identified that the alleged perpetrators are members of the security forces in a few smaller cases. But it is very worrying that the security forces appear as the alleged perpetrators of this violence.
The terror generated by the struggles of these armed groups is also reflected in human rights violations, such as displacement. So far, only in 2022, according to the United Nations, this situation has left more than 78,000 victims. In 2021, displacements reached 73,000. In 2020, it was 35,000, and in 2019, it was 33,000. These figures were never recognized by the current government.
Hernan Tobar, Telesur, Bogotá, Colombia.